Welcome. Thanks for joining me. This is all about things not working out as you expected, about starting on a journey and the road having different plans. Well, it's been the year for it. For a start, I wasn't expecting to be presenting this work in this way. It was supposed to be performed live as part of a work in progress showing at Pop Festival in West Kensington in March 2020, but the world had different ideas. Things got a bit pandemic-y, you might have noticed. So instead, we're doing this pared back, potted, stripped down version to go online, and I'm filming this from my house during lockdown. So if you hear noises in the background, welcome to Brixton. First, I want to tell you that music is my life. This piece started out as a commission for Westway Arts Trust, and it was about community and music and legacy and Portobello Road. So I started the commission by taking a walk around Ladbrook Grove. On that walk, I discovered that music is in the tarmac on the roads. It's in the bricks of the buildings. It is sewn into the garments in the vintage clothing stores. Maybe it's even in the concrete of the Westway flyover. Something else I should probably tell you. I hadn't been to Portobello Road in years, despite living in London all that time. I also hadn't noticed that there's a stonking great motorway that runs over it. Not until I looked up. Oh, there's a motorway running over everyone's heads. But now that I've seen it, I don't think it is just a motorway. I think it might also be a monolith. But back to music, because if you didn't know to look, perhaps you wouldn't know it's there. There are echoes of it in the vinyl on the record stalls of Portobello Road Market, or lining the walls of the rough trade shop. In an age of music held as digital ghosts in mass-produced brushed titanium, there's something so comforting about touching grooves and ridges and knowing that the music is carved in. The rarer the better. Young people don't really come here anymore, someone who had lived around there for decades told me. I used to be intimidated to go into the rough trade shop when I first moved to London, fresh from the country and ready for a new life. It was like a mecca of cool. The whole area was. I used to walk Portobello Road again and again, Saturday after Saturday when the market was up, looking for something that I could wear or take with me from that mecca of cool that would say, look, I'm cool too. But mostly it was just purple army trousers. I don't know why I first started going there. Maybe it was the whisper of a reputation or the collective memory of a scene, a glimpse of a possibility. I don't know why I stopped going there either. When I went back to Portobello Road for the first time in years to research this piece, it was more of a fleeting possibility, but the memory, the reputation of a scene was still there. A bit more rough now, a bit more jaded, faded perhaps, round the edges, a bit more aware of itself, a bit more for sale and commodified and available for people to take home a smear of that mecca as a mug or a Banksy t-shirt or a tea towel. A bit more invaded by the inevitable chains. Although, fair play, I live in Brixton, have done for years, and here the chains that are popping up are pristine. Could be anywhere in the country. In Portobello, they are grim as fuck. The Cafe Nero, desolate. The Joe and the Juice, literally a crack den with wheatgrass. I mean that as a compliment. But there, like anywhere in London, there's nothing to be had without money. Segue. When I first applied for this commission, it was quite a straightforward idea about music and communities and oral traditions and what gets passed on and folk music. But Portabello, I don't think you are straightforward, so we're going in a different direction. We need to talk about folk music. I went to the Temple of Folk Music, the English Folk Song and Dance Society in Camden, to look for songs that would neatly fit into my project idea. I was certain they must exist. To try and find traditional songs from or about Portobello. There are none. I went to try and find a Ladbrook Grove oral tradition of music. It wasn't there. I went bigger and tried to find songs from or about London. I was given a vinyl record of old songs originating from London, but recorded and made in the 1970s. I was told that they're not really folk songs, just old, and that record is all there is. The record was dusty and untouched. I hadn't held a vinyl record in years. Even though it was awkward and cumbersome and the librarian struggled to get the record player working, it was glorious. There's a ritual to it, a conjuring of the music that it holds. And then I was told that folk music is a murky subject, and I was like, oh, murky is my jam. Murky is my bread and butter. So I did find a song on that record. Most of them were about someone called Bess who goes astray, but this one had something to it. There's nothing to be had without money. That's the title. It's not a folk song, but folk did sing it. It's not a folk song, but it's over 400 years old. Though it's not a folk song, but people did pass it on by singing it to each other, just like folk songs. But it's not a folk song. It's not a folk song because it's about London. It's not a folk song because it was written in London and became popular and persisted. It's not a folk song because the people who decided what were folk songs didn't believe that songs about London were folk songs. Folk music, they decided, was the untainted expression of the rural mind, passed on by voice and memory and purified and filtered as it was. If it wasn't a hey nonny, it was a hey nonny no. This shall not enter the temple of folk music. But I was taken with the title of this song because then in London, as now, there's nothing to be had without money and lots of it. But I wonder if there's another reason why this song was excluded from the folk canon. It's the tale of a journey across London by a self-confessed bon vivant. Everyone loves him. He loves immersing himself in the life of London, but he's got no money and he's going to chance it wherever he can to get some. His company doesn't come for free. I mean, I can relate because this doesn't come for free, although apparently it does come for much less than it should. So already not whimsically devoid of commercial realities, not charmingly naive. This guy knows he's his own best asset and he's going to bank that where he can. He loves a party, he loves a dance and a little drink and a pep in whatever form that might come. He loves bizarre fashions and the cutting edge of London society. And call it projection, call it wishful thinking, but in the cracks in between the lyrics, I'm sensing something a little, well, a little queer. Hey, Ladbrook Grove, I give you. There's nothing to be had without money.
And you swaggering blades, give ear upon my deity. I am a boon companion known in country, town and city. I always love to wear good clothes, and I ever scorn to take blows. I am beloved by all me knows, but God, I've got no money. My father was a man well born who loved to hold his money. His bags of gold he would declare far sweeter were than honey. But I, his son, do let it fly in tavern and ordinary. I am beloved in company, but God, I've got no money. All parts of London I have tried, where merchants' wares are plenty. The Royal Exchange and fair Cheapside, with speeches fine and dainty. They bid me in for to behold their shops of silver and of gold, that I may choose what wares I would, but oh, I've got no money. And for my contentment once a day, I walk for recreation. St. Paul's, Ludgate and Fleet Street Way, I gaze an elevation. Sometimes my humour is to range through Temple, Bank and New Exchange, for to view the fashions rare and strange, but oh, I've got no money. All parts of London I have come, both I and my sweet money, got entertainment in the same, and we won the love of many. Both tapsters, cooks and vintners fine, with other jovial friends of mine, to pledge my health in beer and wine, but God, I've got no money. Never shall I miser be, while I have life on earth. I'll spend my money frolickly, in friendship, love and mirth. I'll drink my fill, I will pay my score, and I'll dispense some of my store, and to the needy and the poor I'll freely give my penny. Thus to conclude as I began, I truly am inclined, wishing each true-hearted man a faithful friend may find. You that my verses stay to hear, draw money for to buy my cheer. The price of it is not too dear, it will cost you but a penny.
As I got to know it better, I was struck by the vitality of the creative community in Ladbrook Grove, very much so. There was so much passion and love for the area and its history and its future, and it made me realise, oh, there is more here beyond the tea towels and the mugs and the tap from 20 years ago. The glimpse of a possibility became less fleeting. And that's when I met Mickey and the Portabello Live Choir.
It's a cold night, and oddly, I feel quite nervous. I suppose it's something to do with meeting a bunch of new people and wanting to make a connection with them, hoping that my ideas might take some kind of journey with them, but wondering how that would even be possible. Hi, I'm just a random person, asking if you all might be up for doing this thing that I'm not even really sure what that is yet. There's about 50 of you and one of me, so hello. I'm aware that there could be a sense of, who the hell are you? Because who the hell am I? I have found a song, though. There were no authentic folk songs about Portobello Road I could find in the Temple of Folk or otherwise, but there is an inauthentic folk song. That song is Portabello Road, a number from Bedknobs and Broomsticks, a 1971 Disney movie starring Angela Lansbury as a wartime witch trying to save Britain from the Nazis. When she stops in Portobello Road on a magic flying bed to locate a book of spells, the song describes the charms of the market and joyously unpicks all the dodgy dealings going on there, where everything sold is a fake. It's Portobello Road via Disney. It's a hybrid of traditional British music via Hollywood. It's not really anything to do with Portobello Road, but it's everything to do with it. It's part of that whisper, that glimpse, that memory. The more I listened to it, the more I liked it. I get to Portobello Road really early for the meeting and make several freezing speed loop tours of the streets. You could call it anxious pacing. I'm through the doors of the pub the choir rehearses at exactly on time. I wait. No one is there yet. The pub is warmly decorated and tinselled for Christmas, which is in a few weeks, but it's edgy too. I'm both invisible and highly conspicuous. I feel that I'm being sized up. I buy the flounciest beer on the menu, wild strawberry, and I'm overcharged for it massively with a charming smile. There's a sense that things could kick off, so I pretend I haven't noticed. Then Mickey, the choir leader, arrives, apologizing profusely that he forgot to tell me the choir was performing Christmas songs in a nearby care home, and instantly it all feels okay. We have a brilliant chat about the choir, how it started, sparked by a need to bring people in the local community together and to celebrate the legacy of music in the area. And then they all start piling in, through the doors and up the stairs, quick as you like. They're on a tight schedule, focused and committed, things to practice. I'm swept along up into the rehearsal room too, thinking perhaps I'll get a chance to be introduced and state my purpose. But no, the door is closed and they begin, straight into it, no messing around. I perch myself awkwardly on a chair and watch the rehearsal, completely superfluous and also kind of conspicuous. Kindly, people keep popping over to see if I'm okay. Oh, thanks, I'm just here to watch. I'm encouraged to join in. The rehearsal is focusing on Christmas songs and I'm handed a lyric sheet. Oh, I'm just here to have a look today. It's pretty clear I'm being mistaken for a potentially shy choir member. But I'm also struck by how welcoming and generous everyone is. There's so much energy in the room, so much focus. Even daft Christmas songs, somehow, people singing together, it always gets me. I try singing along a little, but after a bit I start to feel like an interloper and decide to make a dash out of the room between Jingle Bells and Let It Snow. A brief exchange with the musical director, who is clearly a phenomenon and I'm both in awe of and a bit terrified by, and I'm out the door, aware that it all probably looked really weird and I'm unlikely to get to work with the choir on my idea. I go back downstairs again, have a chat with Mickey and some others. There's a get-together after the rehearsal and I'm invited to join them all. And they're lovely. So I go back into the rehearsal room once the practice is done. And this time it's relaxed and informal and I get to chat with people. It's clear that everyone is buzzing, bouncing off each other's energy. I begin to lose my interloper syndrome a bit. There's a lot of characters in the room too. It's a fascinating mix, but the sense is that everyone is there because they love singing and they love the area. The choir's repertoire digs into the musical legacy of Portobello Road and Ladbrook Grove. It's a choir made up of people who've lived there all their lives, people who were drawn there by the music scene in the 70s and have stayed. There's a lot of love and pride for Portobello in the room. I noticed someone, not from the choir, come into the room from the pub downstairs with a mangy-looking dog. He's acting pretty shady. I'm chatting with someone and a fight breaks out. A choir member has challenged the man who came in. He's spitting abuse and she's giving it right back. The room fills with the bristling of something about to really kick off. But the choir rallies, jumping to the defense of their own. They close ranks, United, they group around her. With the faltering bravado of someone trying to not lose face, he tries to throw some parting shots and hastily leaves the room. There is concern, consolation, and mostly care. Someone apologizes to me, tells me they're sorry I had to witness that. Sometimes the area can be rough. No, I say, no need to apologize. That was community. Later, I asked Mickey if the choir might be up for doing the song with me. He says sure. A week goes by, and I come back to the edgy pub hoping this will all work out. Nick, the music producer, comes with me. I'm not certain if this is going to happen, but just happy that we're all going to give it a try. But as soon as everyone piles into the upstairs room, I can tell the idea has come together. I wasn't quite sure if it would or how. I just put it out there and they made it happen. In between rehearsals, they've made it happen. The musical director brings the choir together and I'm amazed that they're singing the song, swaying as they do. It feels like a tiny miracle.
This fake folk song about magic and spells from a surreal Disney movie suddenly becomes the most real thing there's ever been. It becomes powerful, anthemic, a chant, an invocation.
Portobello Road, Portobello Road, street where the riches of ages are stowed. Anything and everything a chap can unload is sold off the barrow in Portobello Road. You'll find what you want in the Portobello Road.
Portobello Road, Portobello Road, street where the riches of ages are stowed. Anything and everything a chap can unload is sold off the barrow in Portobello Road. You'll find what you want in the Portobello Road. Rare alabaster, genuine plaster, a filigreed samovar owned by the Tsars, a pen used by Shelley, a new Botticelli, the snipper that clipped old King Edward cigars. Made in Hong Kong, 2 bob a dozen, would you say? Waterford crystals, Napoleon's pistols, society heirlooms with genuine gems. Rembrandt's, El Grecos, Toulouse-Lautrec's, painted last week on the banks of the Thames. Portobello Road, Portobello Road, street where the riches of ages are stowed. Anything and everything a chap can unload is sold off the barrow in Portobello Road. You'll meet all your chums in the Portobello Road. There's pure inspiration in every creation. No cheap imitations, not here in this store. With garments as such as was owned by a duchess just once and some royal occasion of yore. Portobello Road, Portobello Road, street where the riches of ages are stowed. Artifacts to glorify our regal abode are hidden in the flotsam in Portobello Road. You'll find what you want in the Portobello Road. Tokens and treasures, yesterday's pleasures, cheap imitations of heirlooms of old, dented and tarnished, scarred and unvarnished. Portobello, their board and their soul. Portobello Road, Portobello Road, street where the riches of ages are stowed. Anything and everything a chap can unload is sold off the barrow in Portobello Road. You'll find what you want in the Portobello Road. In Ladbrook Grove, a music scene sprung up in the 1960s and 70s. It grew out of the hippie movement and the squats and artists, bohemians and musicians who flooded in. It became the centre of the underground in Britain. Sometimes a place becomes the incubator, the nest, the greenhouse, and Ladbrook Grove in the mid-60s was that place. A geographical flashpoint. It somehow fostered the perfect conditions for a scene that defined an era to grow. The music was psychedelic, mind-bending, an expression of counterculture fueled by trippy narcotics and a rebellious spirit. Bands emerged with names like The Deviants, Quintessence, Mighty Baby, The Pink Fairies, and Hawkwind. They jammed on LSD at the UFO. A movement was born, a sound, an aesthetic that would be sent around the world, then sold around the world, and back again. Right now, in faraway places, there are things for sale that originated then and there. And you'll find them for sale in Portobello too, sold and bought and sold again. But then, the whisper of a reputation was a bold primal scream, and the memory of a scene hadn't been made yet. In that moment, music was for the people and of the people. The bands were for the community, and anyone who wanted could join in. Free gigs happened in the rubble of buildings knocked down for the Westway as construction started. Perhaps for a moment it really was the whisper of a reputation that sold 1 million magic mushroom tie-dyed t-shirts. The collective memory of a scene that Portobello still trades off. The second-hand glimpse of possibility I was looking for when I first went there all those years ago. Ultimately, a whisper, a memory, a glimpse wasn't enough to keep me going back. But I'm glad I returned. There was a lot to discover in Portobello now. And back then, the drugs changed, booze crept in, and angrier anarchy emerged in other places. The Westway construction ripped through the area and made it a wasteland, tore up the community, and filled it for years with unbearable noise and dust. People begged to get out. The party was over. When it was completed, perhaps the motorway was a kind of monolith. And now it's long finished, perhaps that scene has left music that is kind of folk. But folk music is defined by what it excludes.
And with that, Portobello, I shall leave you. But it's good to know that the memory, the reputation, the whisper is in good hands. Just ask the choir. And that there's real community. I have one more song for you. This one is in the Temple of Folk. It was allowed in the canon. There are recordings of it being sung by country folk who learnt it from other country folk. And the people who decided and collected folk music, they agreed that this one was okay. But shh, it's really a mashup of commercially produced songs made in London, just like they all are. Folk music, how you trouble me. How I've been drawn to you again and again, naively craving authenticity. But oh, the stories you exclude, the experiences you shut out, the sleights of hand the idea of you were founded on. But, as I said, this is a potted, stripped back version, so all of that is for another time. What I have for you now is a song called either Flash Company or The Yellow Handkerchief. It's very much a The Party Is Over song, which is why I chose it. Thanks for joining me for this streamlined, potted, pared back, stripped down version of a live performance that was itself a work in progress that never happened. Songs that nobody taught me. The party is over, so I'd like to offer you my version of Flash Company.
Once I had a colour as red as a rose. Now my colours fade like the lily that grows. My colours has fade like the lily that grows. And if it wasn't for Flash Company, I should never have been so poor. So you take this yellow handkerchief in remembrance of me, and tie that round your neck, my love, in your Flash Company. Flash Company's been the ruin of me and a great many more. And if it wasn't for Flash Company, I should never have been so poor. Now the singing and the dancing, sure that was my delight. Flash Company's been the ruin of me and the ruin of me quite. Flash Company's been the ruin of me and a great many more. And if it wasn't for Flash Company, I should never have been so poor. So you take this yellow handkerchief in remembrance of me, and tie that round your neck, my love, in your Flash Company. Flash Company's been the ruin of me and a great many more. And if it wasn't for Flash Company, I should never have been so poor. Now all you little Flash boys, take warning by me, and never build your nest, my love, on the top of a tree. For the green leaves, they will wither, and the roots, they will decay, and the beauty of a Flash boy, that will soon fade away. So you take this yellow handkerchief in remembrance of me, and tie that round your neck, my love, in your flash company. Flash company's been the ruin of me and a great many more. And if it wasn't for Flash Company, I should never have been so poor.